Greetings, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Ascension sessions. My name is Cherie Ariano, and I'm your host for tonight. I'm excited to be here with you. It's November 3rd, and I have a great show for you, and it's great to be back on the air with you guys in YouTube land and in Facebook land. So definitely say hello if you end up coming into the chat room. I would love to hear from everyone who's with us tonight. Tonight, I have a really special guest with us. His name is Peter Benson, and he's a good friend of mine, and I'm excited to share his knowledge and wisdom with you. And so I'm going to read you his bio, and then we'll get started. So with a background as a mechanic and technician engineer, Peter went through a major awakening process that opened up his connection to his higher self and the angelic realm. He discovered his angelic origins as a part of Archangel Michael's army of light. Guided by Archangel Michael and the Ascended Masters, Peter was guided to the Tensor technology and its healing properties. He conducted a series of research that led him to build his first Tensor ring, crystals infused pendants, the Merkaba healing coil, and more. Peter is an international public speaker and the CEO of Energies of Service. His powerful copper healing and grounding tools are inspired by and channeled from the quantum fields of creation. His handcrafted products are carefully attuned energetically to help people heal, balance, and live in harmony with their resonance field. They are energy tools for ascension and conscious living. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Peter. How are you?
Good. How are you doing tonight, Sherry?
I'm good. Thank you. Well, I just wanted to thank you and acknowledge you. We were supposed to do this about a year ago, and life had a way of stepping in and postponing it by almost a year. I was looking at the old artwork. It was actually October 27th when we were going to do this last year, and today is also November 3rd. It's the 1-year anniversary of our moving to Chandler. So it's a big night for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah. So thank you for your patience as we went through a giant move and made it all the way to Arizona so we could do this together locally. Yeah.
It's definitely a different environment, as you found out, that the weather is definitely far different from California. So
yes,
summer's a little bit warmer.
Yes, it's a little bit warmer. Although I have to say, it could be 105 here and it could be 105 there, and it's actually worse over there because of the humidity. So I've been finding that I am enjoying the drier, climate. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Do we have Vivian in the room? Sorry?
No, Vivian's downstairs taking care of the kids.
Oh, she just chimed in to say that your work is awesome and congratulations. So thank you, Vivian.
There she is. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's really good to, have you on the show. And I see you've got your copper pyramid behind you,
Yes.
holding down the energy field, as well as your pendant. And I'm also wearing my pendant. So we will get into those in just a few minutes. So why don't you start by telling everyone a little bit about where you're from? And, we're going to get into all of your spiritual gifts and attunements that came in, sometime along your lifetime. And we're going to talk about that. But I would love to just hear more about your childhood and where you're from, because despite the fact that we're friends, I don't even know.
Well, we've never actually had that conversation.
No, we haven't. So, yay.
Originally, I'm from Massachusetts. Grew up in rural Massachusetts, so out in the woods.
Oh, okay. Was near
Um,
Salem?
uh, no, no, no. It was
Okay.
further west. Um, what was it? We're just about 25 minutes south of Keene, New Hampshire. So it was more central Massachusetts.
Okay.
So yeah, I used to enjoy walking out in the woods, and because we adjacent to a state park, so we would just walk through the state park and enjoy the trees, the streams, and stuff like that.
Oh,
There's a
beautiful.
lot more trees than here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically grew up there, created a lot of chaos when in my teenage years, but that's normal. Um, Went to school for a mechanic and was a mechanic for over 15 years. Um, then I started in semiconductor from there. Did
Were,
20
were
years
you
in
a
that.
car mechanic?
Yeah,
Car
yep, yep,
mechanic? Okay. Hmm.
yeah. ASE certified master technician. By the time I had retired, I was that. So that's pretty interesting.
Okay, so I know who to
Um,
call now. Just kidding.
I haven't done that in years. I got out of it. It was really dirty, and the environment did change after that, but that's okay.
Hmm.
Um, so I went into more of a cleaner environment, working in engineering, doing different things there, and still doing that. And let's see, about 6 years ago, I started investigating Slim Sperling's information, um, and going through his books, understanding what he did, watching some of his videos that are still up on YouTube. He passed away in 2007, I believe it was. Um, Incredible guy. His story is quite outrageous. Uh, his name is Slim, but it's not really Slim. He took on that nickname because he was a really skinny guy, and that's where he got
Hmm.
it from the military. So Slim Sperling is his nickname from the military.
Okay.
So yeah, but he found a bunch of stuff like that, the Tensor technology,
Hmm.
and that's where I started doing the stuff I'm working on now. Um, and then during that same time, I actually start. That's when I got my first message from Archangel Metatron on to make anklets and stuff like that. And the message was use a tensor ring, uh, create an ankle out of a tensor ring, put the 5 crystals in it, and cover it with a copper mesh.
Hmm.
So it took me about a year and a half to actually get it fully developed because I had no idea where to get copper mesh. I was like, okay, I got the tensor ring, we got that. Got the 5 crystals, we got that. How are we going to make it?
Can I
So,
ask you a question? So, how
oh,
old were
absolutely.
you about when that came through? When you got the message from Archangel Metatron,
Let's see,
approximately?
approximately about 45, probably.
Okay. Okay. I was just checking because we were talking about you running through the woods, and so I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
see
So
where we were on your timeline. Okay.
yeah. So no, I skipped. I mean, basically, I was just work and I was a mechanic and ended up getting married, having kids, and somewhere in the change of things, moved out to Arizona.
Hmm.
Did the whole change of things, and everything shifted at that point.
Did you get
So that big
any?
change in my life.
Did you get any messages in the woods in Massachusetts? Because I've heard that the land there is pretty sacred, and
It
I can only
is.
imagine being in nature that much that, some things could have happened.
Um, I didn't really get any real messages that I understood. Excuse me. Um, but I could just sit out there and just literally just enjoy listening to. It's like you can go on TV now or YouTube and listen to like a creek flowing, listen to the trees and the birds singing in the background. This is where I did. You could just go out to the
Hmm.
woods and just hear it live at any time.
Yeah.
Because there's little springs in the area, so the water would literally be percolating to the surface and then running by you. It was just actually really
Oh,
cool.
wow. Beautiful.
So I really enjoyed it. I didn't understand a lot. I mean, I didn't grow up in an environment where spirituality was really a thing.
Hmm.
So I grew up more in the 3D realm. So I didn't have that kind of thing going on at that
Hmm.
time. Um, I didn't understand spirituality or anything like that until yeah, about 45-ish, when I started reading Brian Weiss, Michael Newton's books about life after death, life between death, life between life, and those kinds of things, and understanding the spiritual realm, and
Right.
then sound baths and understanding that, and then the message from from Metatron, and then building the Tensor technology stuff based on that.
Mhm.
So it was really interesting.
So how did Metatron's message come through? Was it directly channeled, or did you go to a psychic or reader and they told you the message? How did that come through for you?
The first message was through a healing session. Actually, I was actually having some energy healing done on me, and when we were doing the wrap up, um, basically Metatron came through and says, "You need to make this," and I'm like, "Okay." So I took notes and wrote it all down, and from there, we started doing. I started doing more of that and creating stuff. It took a little while for me to actually get the tensor rings to actually be functional. Put it that way.
Mhm.
When I first
Mhm.
started creating tensor rings, they weren't there. My intention wasn't there yet. It's just you have to be in the right mindset in order to create the tensor rings to actually be, powerful enough to be utilized. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Cool. And when did you start Energies of Service? Like when would you say you started it as like, okay, I've got the energy right and I've got my intention set in these healing tools.
end of 2017. Um,
Okay.
I registered the name and stuff like that. I was already creating a lot of the tensor rings, the larger rings, the larger versions of the copper
Mm-hmm.
rings. So I was
Mm-hmm.
making a lot of those at the time. Um, for friends of mine who actually, the lady who was doing the sound bath, I created. She had the crystal bowls for the regular chakras and the higher chakras. So she had 14 bowls. I
Oh
ended up
wow.
making her a tensor ring for every single bowl
Oh my
because
goodness.
I had given her four rings to play with to experiment and see how they worked with the bowls because they're supposed to amplify the energy, and I didn't know if it would or not. So I gave her
Mm-hmm.
four of the rings. She had 2 days to play with them. I texted her back. So how do they work? And she said, "Can you bring 10 more?"
Wow.
So
Very
they were
cool.
working really, really well. And they amplified the daylights out of the crystal bowls. So it made them vibrate longer and get louder and longer. Yeah, so longer and louder. It was crazy.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Did it make the sound resonate longer?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Wow, that's
changed the tone
amazing.
a little bit. Yeah, it changed the
Hmm.
tone a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the rings I was using was the Solomon's cubit, and that one is supposedly changing the color of sound. So it actually changes the way the sound is. So, sound is
Wow.
just a different frequency from light. So,
Right. Right. Well, some people can see sound
yeah,
frequencies, right?
yeah.
So that's interesting that it changed the color. So this sound healer, could she see sound frequencies?
She couldn't see the sound frequencies, but she could definitely tell the way that the balls were reacting and the way that they were playing. She had to
Hmm.
change the way. She literally had to change the way she played the bowls because they
Wow.
were louder, so she couldn't get really aggressive with them, and they spun up
Hmm.
longer. And they, so when
Hmm.
you spin it up, it will just stay vibrating for like 30 seconds longer, just longer and longer and longer. So she had to change the way that she played,
Wow.
and the way the sound was. It was just the way she preferred to play it. So that was all that
Hmm.
was.
And I would imagine as a sound healer, she probably got feedback from, the people she was healing that
Oh
the
yeah,
healing sessions were more powerful.
yeah. No, they
Yeah.
definitely were.
Right. So you started out making just the simple tensor rings. I don't want to say
Yep.
simple, but that was before you. I know they're not
Yes.
simple, Peter.
Well,
Um,
no, they are. The rings are
yeah,
very simple. They really, really are. The rings are
yeah.
simple.
Compared to these,
Um,
they certainly are.
yeah. It's just it's just wound wire, and it's cut to a specific length to create a frequency.
Hmm.
So that's where you get them. It's just like uh, the different lengths of wire create a different frequency, similar to like the wavelength on a radio dial. At one end of the one end of the radio, you have a different radio station. Although you have different radio stations all the way up, and the cuts of
Okay.
the copper wire, it's the same thing. So you have a different
Interesting.
cut for a different frequency.
Hmm. And does the twisting of the wire also change?
Yeah,
the intention or the amplification of the healing properties?
not necessarily that. So if you go really really tight on a lot of the tensor rings, it creates disharmony in the vortex that it creates. So
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like if you wanted a smoother uh, torus energy field going up, you would have fewer twists, and you'd actually see it going up more gradually. You get a whole bunch of twists, and it's like more aggressive, and it wants to spin. And if it's not
Oh,
uniform, you end up starting spinning off to an angle, and
oh,
it's
interesting.
really hard to. Yeah, no, we've had that experience with a lot of people, so we don't do the high twist rate tensor rings anymore.
Okay. I love the way you describe things because I'm a very visual person. And when you speak about things, I can literally see like what you're saying. So it's really cool, like very visual.
Yeah,
Okay, awesome. And then, so can you tell us a little bit more about, you know, when you went from like, okay, I got this download to create these healing tools to I'm gonna, like you're kind of like just playing around with it, right? To oh my gosh, I need to create these en masse, or I need to create more of these and really like help the world heal and ground and protect and all of the things that they do. When did it, like,
yeah.
did that come through a channeling, or like, how did you go into that shift?
Well, I created the anklets, and I was making them in small batches, like 5 or 10 at a time, and having people
Mhm.
experience them and giving feedback and stuff like that. And at the same time, I was actually creating tensor rings, the small ones, just like on the pendants, the smaller ones. But I was actually, instead of using the resins to do the compression, I was doing wire wrap. So the crystal would literally be wire wrap, and it would be hanging between, right in the crystal, and you could actually still feel the pendant, feel the crystal
Mhm.
energy, and it was amplified.
Yeah.
Um, and then I moved over to doing resin because I was looking at it going, okay, if we're using a resin, resins tend to compress. So when the resins dry, cure, they actually shrink. So that puts the
Mhm.
crystals under pressure. So when you put the crystals under pressure, they make more energy. They want to
Really?
produce more
Wow.
energy. Well,
Mhm.
that's the understanding of like quartz crystals when you're doing a gas grill lighter. That's a crystal when you're pushing on it. It produces more energy, the spark.
Wow.
Um,
Fascinating. I love that. I
So,
didn't
and
know
those
that.
are, I guess, yeah. So when you put crystals under compression, they create energy.
Mhm.
That's just an example of one. So with the crystals under compression inside of a tensor ring, and they're stationary, the tensor ring gets to amplify the already over amplified crystals. So those
Mhm.
crystal energies end up being projected inside the body and out. So that's why I was working on that at the same time, and the anklets kind of went a little bit by the wayside because there was a time where we had it was actually our accountant at the time. I had given her a pair of anklets, and she was wearing them, and it helped her a lot because she's dealing with people and dealing with
Mhm.
money. When you
Right.
deal with people and money together, that creates a lot of stress and energy, right? So
Right.
she was utilizing it, and she really enjoyed it because she wasn't being burdened by everybody's energy that she was dealing with. During tax
Mhm.
season, it's like 15, 20 people a day. It's just
Sure.
very, very busy. Um,
Mhm.
and then 3 days later, she told me, it's like, I have to give you these back. My husband is giving me a hard time with them. So that really pushed the pendants into action. It's like, okay, how can I make the Archangel Metatron anklets into a pendant?
Mhm.
And that's where your pendant came from. That's exactly where that pendant came from.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, okay, let's put those crystals inside of a tensor ring, and we're using the resin compression and giving you that energy and shielding effect.
Mhm.
Now the anklets close your energy torus, so basically caps that torus energy field, closes the donut down, creates instead of having a field, you have a shield. The pendant actually puts for lack of a better word, like a force field just above your emotional field. So your skin, you have an emotional
Mhm.
field just above that, and then you'd have like a field that the pendant creates just above that to isolate your energy field from other people's emotions.
Mhm.
So that's where
So
the
both of
pendants came
them
from. Yeah.
So both of them could be really beneficial to empaths, it sounds like. Both the ankle rings and the
Yep,
pendants.
yep. The
Yeah.
people that really need it are, well, everybody is empathic. Everybody. It's just
Right.
those people that are not allowing themselves to understand it or feel it.
Hmm.
But those are that are still very sensitive. Yeah, these are extremely beneficial for everybody.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, they're, we've all used them in my family. I have this one. Is this one of the original designs? The Metatron?
Yep, that's the Metatron. Yep,
Was this
yep, that's
your,
straight up shielding. Yep,
yeah, this is what I need. So this is a great story. The way I received that, we were at the San Francisco UFO conference, and I had like this extrovert, let's say, uh, neighbor, booth mate, right next to my booth was this really large energy field person. And by the end of the
yep,
day, I think I was pretty frazzled. And
yep,
Peter graciously walked over to me and said, "Here, try this on."
yep.
And the rest is history. And I immediately felt, grounded because I
Yep.
felt completely not grounded. And then I felt grounded right away.
Yeah.
So I know they work, and I always wear mine whenever I go to any type of conference and I'm going to be around a bunch of people, because
Yeah.
I feel more protected and shielded. So it's an amazing technology. So kudos to you for creating something to help sensitive people, certainly who are more
Yes.
sensitive to energy, for these tools. So what now you've got some new technology coming down the pipeline. You've got
Yes.
different versions of them, and like the holographic one and Archangel
Yep.
Michael. And how did you decide to, create them after different archangels, and like were those messages and downloads, or are you channeling when you're creating? Like how does that come through for
Yeah.
you?
Well, I was doing different pendants at the time when the Metatron came through. I was doing peridot and tiger eye and selenite and green mica, selenite and turquoise. Those two they're still on the website. Um, but what was happening is everybody was liking the attributes of all three of those pendants. So when I created the next pendant, which is the Archangel Michael, it has the turquoise in it, the selenite, green mica, and the Metatron shielding. And when you put it on, it makes you feel as if you are being protected by Michael, and Michael is in your presence. That's why I call it Michael.
Hmm.
That one, I don't know if it was him telling me that you need to put these together, make that happen. I don't know. Most of the time when I'm creating these, I do get a kind of like the aha moment, and let's do this. And that's
Hmm.
where the two pendants we'll talk about next came from. Is we got to do this? I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Hmm.
But yeah, when you put the Michael pendant on, you feel instantly calmer. You feel that shielding protection, automatically quiet feeling, and you just start
Hmm.
feeling like a comfortable, warm, and you just start your energy starts clearing out, which is the selenite in there helping you clear your energy. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was just like, what does that pendant feel like? And it's like, yeah, Archangel Michael.
Yes, and we all could use a little more Archangel Michael at
Yes.
different times throughout the day.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that pendant is an amazing tool to wear. That one you could wear all day long without any interruption on that one, and it's very
Hmm.
helpful. Um,
Awesome.
so the next one was a 100% channeled message from, and I don't even know where this one came from, which domain or archangel came from this one. It was the multidimensional one, the one you're talking about. Um,
Hmm.
and that one is right there. That one has three tensor rings in it and the eight crystals from the Archangel Michael pendant. So that one you still have the shielding with
Hmm.
the crystals in there from the Metatron. You have the calming, clearing, and healing stones, but you also have the Unity ring, which is actually a very much grounding and balancing of chakras. You have which is like a star chakra, your crystal, because it allows you to open up and stay grounded. You can open up and stay grounded at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is the galactic, which is actually your crown chakra. And then you have the Remen cubit, which is like more of a third eye kind of a cubit, which allows for clear vision, gets things out of your way. So when
Mm-hmm.
you have all three of those tensor rings on it with all those crystals, it allows you to see multi-dimensional. It allows different people to do different things. We've
Mm-hmm.
had one young lady at Mount Shasta put it on, and she started seeing a past life where she was
Wow.
standing on a beach, and she was a amphibian. She had fur. It was waterproof fur. She was looking at herself like, "Oh, this is interesting." And it's saying, I don't remember if she counted the digits or not, but she was saying that. And then she looked over the ocean, and it was actually looking at a cliff face. It was more of like a gradual one, and it actually had housing on the cliff face, and the housing went all the way into the water. So the housing was
Oh,
in the water
wow.
and above water. So
That's
it was
awesome.
really interesting. It's like, okay, wouldn't the ocean kind of destroy that stuff? But okay, that's what she was seeing, and she was actually reporting out all of this stuff, and I was just like, wow, this is just cool.
Wow. That is very cool. Well, I know you let me wear one just recently at the Phoenix UFO Congress.
Yeah.
And I forget why I put it on, but you were like, here, put this on. Maybe I had just
Yeah.
had my reading or something with Vivian and not reading, my healing with Vivian. And
Yeah.
I put it on and it was like I couldn't focus for the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
day. I think I wore it for 1 or 2 hours and I was like floating around like a butterfly, like doo, doo,
Yep.
doo, doo. It was very difficult to focus. I felt
Yep.
completely kind of out of body. I felt like
Yeah.
either my soul star chakra was wide open and I was just like
Mm-hmm.
taking everything
Yep.
in, or I was floating right here, like above my body,
Yeah.
which I've done that before, so I know what that feels like. And eventually, I was like, Peter, I got to give this back to you because I can't focus.
Yeah, it's not one to be wearing at a conference. It's more for a meditation and stuff like that. That's what
Right.
that's pretty much for, to allow you to, or where we're going to bed even, allow you to go out
Mhm.
of body and do other things when when you have the time. That's what that
Yeah,
one's all about. So
that's
that
a
one's
great
crazy. Yeah.
idea. What kind of stories or reports have you gotten back from people sleeping with it? Because I would love to
We
try
don't know
that.
yet.
Maybe I can lease it for a night and test it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give it a try.
See if my astral travel gets more interesting.
It should,
That would be
because you're
fun.
protected. You're going around in the astral plane protected. So
Mhm, mhm.
yeah.
Wow. Do some people sleep with them under their pillows? Like, have you had anyone try that yet?
No, no, I
Have
haven't
you
gotten
tried
much
it?
feedback. This one, no, I haven't worn that one. I do the one we're going to talk about next. I wear that one pretty much all the time.
Mhm.
This one I don't. I probably should do when I do some meditation. You'd be utilizing this one, but this one is
Right.
actually extremely powerful for meditation and getting connected to other things.
I'm gonna encourage you to sleep with it tonight, Peter. Put it under your pillow.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Awesome. So I know, are you talking about the next one? Is that the silver one that you made?
No, the silver one. That one's my personal one, and that one's just over the
Mhm.
top. I made it out of silver, and it's really big. It has like 60 or 70 different crystals in it, and yeah, it's got the Archangel Michael shield in the middle.
Mhm.
So that one's
Yeah,
my personal Michael shield. Yeah,
that one's beautiful. So
yeah.
then what is this other mystery pendant that you would like to share? And how are you putting
This
them on that little circle thing? That's really cool. How are you doing that?
just another camera pointing down at the table.
Yeah, okay. Awesome.
Okay, this
Oh,
one
that's really
is
pretty.
yeah.
Wow.
I'll switch screens so you can see it full screen here. Yeah, this is Archangel Shamael. Shamuel.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
This is a post-traumatic stress healing pendant.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this one is totally designed to do and to deal with. It has a ton of different crystals in it to help clear and deal with stress. So it's basically, again, this one has all the Archangel Michael pendant crystals in it. So it has the shielding, the calming, healing, clearing. But it
Mm-hmm.
also has andalusite, lepidolite, rose quartz, black tourmaline, bloodstone, rhodochrosite, carnelian, citrine, peridot, and howlite in there. So it
Wow.
has a lot of crystals to help clear your energy and help your dream state, help your emotional stability, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm wearing it, I wear it all the time, and I feel myself being very, very, very stable. Like emotionally, there's no ups and downs because I'm very, very, very much empathic and a water
Mm-hmm.
sign. So my energy gets pushed up and down depending on who's walking around. So putting this on, I keep very, very stable, which is awesome. I love it. Yeah, this is
Awesome.
so
Yeah.
far a very powerful tool.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I do remember seeing that one, and
Yeah.
it's the newest one, and it is very beautiful. So that's amazing. Have you had anyone report back yet with that one? I know it's super new, so you might not have, gotten a lot of
Not
reports
yet.
back
Not yet. Not yet. This one I want to get some production going on it, and I want to go and hit up, excuse me, the local police department,
yet. Hmm.
first responders, and I also
Yeah,
want to
I
get to
was
the,
thinking veterans, like veterans.
oh yeah, yeah, I want to get to the,
Yeah.
I want to get in and talk to I haven't sent the email yet, but I want to send an email to the Wounded Warrior Foundation and other veteran,
Hmm.
organizations to see if we can get these out to them.
Yeah.
Because it's extremely beneficial. If I can feel it every day, I love it.
Hmm.
It's amazing. It's amazingly comforting to wear.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I love all the colors in it too.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. So what is your what is next for you? Like are you going to keep making these pendants, or like do you have other totally different creations in mind or tools? Cuz I know you've made quite a few different tools. Like you've got the big
Yeah.
tensor rings and the little tensor
Yeah.
rings and the anklets and
Yeah.
the pendants.
Um, the goal is to get production going on the tensor rings themselves, the large ones for meditation under like massage therapist, like session beds,
Mhm.
session tables. So you can
Mhm.
actually overlap them like in a Vesica Pisces, overlap the rings like three in a row to be underneath your table. So you
Mhm.
can actually utilize the energy of the tensor rings to help you while you're working on somebody. If you're doing, whether it's Reiki or massage therapy or whatnot, you can utilize the crystal, the tensor rings that way. Um,
So you said Vesica Pisces, but that's like 2, not 3, right?
yeah, no,
Vesica
you can just
Pisces is
continue.
2 rings.
Yeah, yeah, just overlapping like this. So you just do one like that and then do another one. It's like just keep
I
going.
just do 3. It's like a
Yeah,
chain.
just
Okay.
yep, do a chain with Vesica Pisces design. I want to make some more do some of the ones for the crystal bowls. I want to put those out. Uh, and for like pet bowls and water bowls like that, get some out
Mhm.
there so that you can actually put the tensor rings around the water bowls.
Mhm.
Um, I've had experience where literally it's like one of the biggest things when you're trying to feed or get water to your animal. If you have one of those auto fillers, that
Yeah.
mosquitoes will start to grow in the water, and it's just like, God, what a pain in the butt. So you have to
Yeah,
go
or
in there and dump
gnats.
the yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to dump the
Mhm.
water and then redo it. And okay, so why do I have this autofill thing? So I ended up putting some tensor rings on a water feeder. It was like a 3 gallon or 4 gallon one for the dog,
Mhm.
and the mosquito larvae stopped growing in the water.
You're kidding. What
No,
about the gnats? Do the gnats still come?
I don't know that part. We didn't have problems with gnats at the time. We were having more issues with mosquitoes. So the
Okay.
larvae would literally
Because
start growing in the base. Yeah,
yeah, I have the same water fountain thing for my dog that you have for your cats, and the gnats always come and it drives me crazy because you're supposed to not have to mess with it every
yep,
day, and I do. I have to change the water every day because of the gnats.
Yeah.
So I
No,
should test
we have a
that.
tensor ring around ours.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a tensor
Awesome.
ring around ours to stop that from our water ball, the automatic fountain for the cats. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So many
I
uses.
want to get some of those. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to create. I already have a design. I need to complete it and work it out, and I want to put it in resin so it actually stays stable. But it's actually a tensor ring in a full length format, but it's actually wound in a flat coil. And in that form, it literally takes energy in one side and projects energy out in the other side. So you can
Mm-hmm.
actually take one side and say, let's say you have your favorite crystal or whatever it is, you can put it on the intake side and just leave it on there for maybe 15 minutes or something like that. Take the crystal off, flip the coil back over, and now that coil is resonating that crystal energy out. So you can put your water bottle on it and resonate it and fill it with that crystal energy. It's like those
Oh, cool.
crystal water bottles. Yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah. And
yeah,
speaking of crystal water bottles, that was something that I know you were considering
yeah,
putting a tensor ring in there.
yeah.
That could be really
I'm thinking
cool.
about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, I was looking at that, and the next one thing I did is like had that glass. I had one in there, the tensor ring, and I basically created an organite with the tensor ring in the bottom of one of those crystal water
Mm-hmm.
bottles. And all I did is I touched it. I just barely glanced the granite countertop, and it just shattered. I'm like, okay, maybe
Oh,
not glass.
bummer.
Yeah, maybe not glass because it made a mess.
Yeah.
So I got to think something different on that. It's a good idea and it was really powerful, but it's not
Hmm.
robust enough to. So it
Right.
turned into
To
an organite.
justify.
I now had a giant organite and no more glass bottle. So I want to do that, and we do have some designs we need to finalize, and I think we'll probably finalize them around probably before the end of the year. We
Hmm.
want to do a star seed line of pendants.
Hmm.
So the intention is I'm working with Vivian on this one, is create, we'll probably do probably five or so up front just to see how it goes. But we're trying to create a resonant frequency with the crystals along with the tensor ring. So we're going to use different tensor rings, whichever one vibrates the most or the right frequency for that particular star seed.
Hmm.
And then put crystals in there that will actually benefit those star seeds. And then we're going to laser engrave the design or emblem or whatever it is. Vivian has a bunch of these that came through for her for the design to be laser etched into the pendant itself.
Oh, that would be
So
cool.
the energy of the pendant is supposed to be super beneficial to the starseed that it's made for.
Hmm. So will you
Yeah.
laser etch in like the seven stars if it's Pleiades and the Sirius star if it's Sirius? Or like will it be constellations or will it no Siri, I'm not talking to you. Sorry, Siri started going off.
Seriously? No, sorry.
Cancel Siri.
No, it's we're looking at it more like there was, I can't remember which one it was. We have the paper. Viv has the paperwork downstairs. Um, one of them was literally one of them was a crop circle for a particular star seed, and it was that crop circle that was going to radiate the energy that's needed
Oh, okay.
for that. So
Interesting.
it could be more of like a light language design for that
Hmm.
particular race. It could be a crop circle. It could be anything, and that's the thing. So like we're looking at what energies each individual aspect is projecting for that star seed.
Oh, very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So we're
I like
looking
it.
at the Yeah, the tensor ring is the variable. The crystal impact is a variable. The whatever that laser engrave is going to be a complete variable.
Hmm.
So we have a whole bunch of different ways to make these very compatible with the different star seeds. So we just need to nail it down.
Right. Now, are you going to, how many different star systems are you going to work
Don't
with?
know. Don't know yet.
Okay. Well, keep us posted on that because that sounds like a really fun and interesting project for sure.
Yeah, this one is. It really is. We got I know we have the tensor rings and the laser engraved piece down. We're still working on what crystals belong in the pendants.
Hmm.
Some of
Very
them, yeah,
cool.
because some of them are really small, like the one inside the middle of this one here, the Shamael, is the unity ring, and that's the smallest one I usually make
Hmm.
for that. And then they get kind of bigger from there.
Right. Well, it's interesting
So
because like I always want really big crystals in here. And I think this design is when you were making using larger sized crystals versus like the
yeah,
little pebbles. But I'm like, I want a really big crystal in here, you know, like that
yep,
would be really cool too. But then the pendant would get so big, you know,
yep, yeah.
so
That's what happens
probably
when you
not
get them really
practical.
big.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very cool. I just got a massage table, so I'm going to have to get some tensor rings for you. Do you want to share any information with people about like ballpark of how much they cost, or do you want to just direct people to your website, or like, you know, what's a good way? Are they custom order, or are they all available for order now on your website? That's a lot of
The
questions.
the yeah, well, the pendants that are available on the website. We're in the middle of reconstruction of the website. It's energiesofservice.com. Right now, it's a redirect to EOS at yorkpress.com until we get it
Hmm.
fixed, and then it'll go back to energiesofservice.com. Um,
Okay.
so we do not have the healing coils up there right now. We will. We have the regular small healing coil, which is more like a Reiki hand tool, doing the Reiki energy in, Reiki energy out. This coil does the same thing without you having to get yourself in the middle. Depending on who you're working on, this is probably a better idea for some. Uh,
Is that the coil that has like two handles?
no, the ones with the ears on it is actually an intention-based healing coil, and that one, energy in comes in at the coil side, and the energy out goes out the ears. So you can actually do. It's more of an intention. So you just sit there and
Hmm.
focus on it. It's more of a meditation and focusing
Hmm.
exercise. You're focusing. It's more of an intention training wheel, like the pendants are, since they're all intention based tools. This coil itself is actually extremely powerful. Um, the one time that we actually had somebody talk about it right then and there, it was really interesting. This one lady she had a shoulder pain. She grabbed this coil and she sat down in the chair and just was holding it. And she's like, "Okay, focus on what's bothering you, and then just basically breathe into it and then breathe out into the coil. Regular breath exercise." And she did
Hmm.
it for like 5 minutes. And while she was doing it, it's like that was really impressive. She's like, "I just saw a white light come out of my shoulder and go into the coil and disappear." And then her pain
Wow.
went away. And as it was
That's
going
very
away,
cool.
she knew what it was. It was actually something that, some stress that she was dealing with her daughter.
Hmm.
So you
Wow,
never know
that's a
what you're
beautiful
storing
story.
wherever you're storing. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
it's really cool.
Yeah. Do you have one of those handy that you can share with us on camera?
Mm, not up here. I don't have one. Um, I think we have one downstairs.
So we have Penny in the chat room from Australia, and she says, be interested in one for grid lines and song lines. She does grid line work and works with Gaia and healing. So that could be really interesting. I wonder how you could use one with grid work.
For doing grid lines and grid work.
Hmm.
Slim Sperling did a lot of work on grids and dealing with grid lines. Uh, he would call it geo stress lines, and he was actually dowsing the lines in the direction they're coming in from, and then he
Hmm.
would actually spike. He would use copper rods and actually spike the property of these geo stress lines, the grid lines coming into a property, and it would basically force the energy to be bouncing over your property, and therefore negate the issues in the property.
Hmm.
And he was doing this. Him and his partner were doing this all over the Denver area for a
Oh,
long
wow.
time. Yeah.
That's very cool. That's really cool. So he would put the rod in the earth where the stressor was, and it would redirect the energy,
Yeah, it's
basically.
so the stress lines that we're talking about, these grid lines. So if you look
Hmm.
at the surface of the earth, the energy is actually just flowing over the surface of the earth like an energy field.
Hmm.
And as of right now, we have multiple different types of grid lines. So we have the geo stress lines, and we have our own electromagnetic stress lines that we're creating with all our electronics. So
Right.
we have to actually, basically, what you want to do is actually negate that energy coming into the property. So
Mm-hmm.
he would just use regular dowsing rods, the LL rods, and he would actually just walk over to, walk along the property line. Okay, is this one here? Okay, this one here, got it. And then he would actually say, is this the incoming or outgoing side of it? Because you can't tell while you're there, you just know it's there.
Right.
If it was incoming, he would take a copper rod and then stake the ground. And the energy from the grounding of that stake rod would actually stick straight up, would actually force that energy to be pushed up. Therefore, it wouldn't actually intersect your property or your house or anything you're
Right.
dealing with.
That's so fascinating. Wow. I just did some grid line work here a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. It was really intense, actually. And if I had some kind of copper tools, I think that would have been really cool and beneficial.
And
Teeny
yes, yeah,
Ting Ting Shiny
that's,
says beautiful.
yep. The
Yeah.
Light Life tools, yes, that's Slim Sperling's tools. Light Life Technologies is Slim Sperling's wife, the company that Slim Sperling and his wife were created, and they still sell the tools there. Yes, they sell it gold plated and silver plated. Uh,
Hmm.
and yep, he did a lot of grid work. Yep, and this is Slim Sperling. He makes the harmonic spheres. Yes, he does. Or she does now. Um, there are other tools out there. Those spheres are actually good for environmental clearing.
Hmm. Wow, very
Yeah,
cool.
those are really good for environmental clearing. Um, I've been working with other ideas on using the Tensor technology. I've created a couple ones similar to what Slim Sperling had created, the harmonic spheres. Um, thank you. Um, and the harmonic spheres I was making were not because they usually make the 4 or 5 inch ones is what they sell on the Light Life tools. I was looking at making them probably 8 inches and bigger, just because I was just
Mhm.
experimenting. And yes, I actually made a couple of them. They were actually extremely powerful, and you can just basically what I did is actually put crystals in them, put crystals right down in the center of the coil to actually change the energy of the tool. So it was actually really interesting to do. I didn't use the copper balls like Slim Sperling does in the tools that he created.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't needed to. We've actually tested the power and energy versus the Light Life tools and comparable. So no worries with that. Uh,
Very
Viv just
cool.
brought up the that eared coil.
Oh
This one.
yeah, there it is. That's the one I have.
Yep.
Very cool. Yeah.
So yeah, that one. Um, yeah. So we did those, and let's see here. I got this one here for a sec. When I first started doing the tensor rings, I went small. I went real small. Went into finger rings.
Hmm. Is that
Yeah.
one of yours?
Yeah. Actually, this one is mine.
Oh wow.
It's like,
Very
yep.
cool.
It's got 2 tensor rings. Let's see if I can bring that in at all here.
Yeah, it's really hard to
Oh,
see. Let me see if
yeah. It's
I
really small.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
can
I mean, go change the screen here, right
if
here.
I can just put the focus on you maybe. Oh, there you go. Oh
So
yeah,
you
I
can see
see it now. Hmm.
it's got 2 tensor rings on the outside there, and then there's like 30 different crystals in here.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
really
was making
cool.
these for a while. Yeah, yep, and it's big, it's thick, it's probably about 8 to 10 millimeters thick. So it's a big thick ring. So yeah,
Very cool. Awesome. Well, that's amazing. So, what are some of the most like interesting healing stories you've heard back from your clients, customers?
um, the biggest stuff I get is the energy impact that happens to people. Is like I don't have the specific ones per se, but we have energy healers that when they put the anklets on the pendant on, all of a sudden now they can't even feel their clients. So they have to actually remove some of it just so they can do their work. I'm like, okay, so that's shielding enough for you. I think that'll work.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so then it was pretty much everybody that puts on Archangel Michael, the minute they put it on, it's like calming. It just
Hmm.
instantly calming. And then you just feel safe. So almost everybody that does that, put those on, that's amazing. The
Hmm.
anklets are a completely different energy feel. Um, it's more when you put the anklets on, the your field shuts down. So it's like every time when we demonstrate this and we're in conferences, it's actually a lot more fun because
Hmm.
you're in a room with anywhere from 50 to 200 people. So everybody's spreading their energy everywhere. So it
Right.
gets really overwhelming for those that are sensitive. And the minute you put
Hmm.
these anklets on, it turns into this like energy cone of silence. All of a sudden, everybody's like, it got quiet, but it didn't get quiet.
Right.
The
It's
audio,
just.
the audio, it's still all these
Mhm.
people talking, and the noise level of the room is extremely high, but it got quiet. So a lot of people just don't understand how to articulate that. It's like, wow, that's emotional energy quiet. That's really kind of interesting. I can't hear everybody else's energy or
Mhm.
feel everybody else's energy. So the anklets do that automatically. And then the other piece of the anklets is everybody to put them on, it's like, I feel heavier. I feel like my feet are kind of in the floor, very grounded.
Right.
So, so yeah, the anklets are crazy powerful on that end. But the Michael and the combination of those two, if you're energy sensitive with and empathic, or just dealing with a lot of energy work and stuff like that, those two together are a crazy powerful combination.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to try that for to put underneath my table. I think that's a great idea. I know you
Yep.
guys use them in the pyramid, and when
Yep.
Vivian does healing sessions. And speaking of pyramids, that big giant pyramid behind you, did you make that one too? That one's made out of copper,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's a copper Giza pyramid. And it's approximately 10 feet wide, 10 feet deep, and about 6.5 feet tall. Uh, and yeah, it's all copper. You can take it apart and put it back together. It's held together with rubber O-rings, but we use conductive electrical tape to actually merge
Hmm.
join the pieces together. So
Hmm.
it actually kind of turns on when you actually join all the copper back together. So that's a really nice feature. You can take it down, put it back up, and it's still powerful as all get out.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
and then we have a Merkaba. You can't see it between the rings behind me here. The tensor rings are all at the top there, but there's a
Hmm.
Merkaba up in there that actually amplifies the pyramid by about tenfold. So it increases its energy astronomically. It's amazing. So, and then
Wow.
we actually you can put anything you want in it. Right now, we have a rose quartz sphere in the Merkaba, so it generates like a loving energy when you're in the pyramid.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
very very cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it is very cool. So those tensor rings are just sitting on top. They're not like soldered in because you just
no,
said that you can take the whole thing apart, right?
yep, yeah. No, the
Very
tensor rings are
cool.
just laid on there, and the diameter of the pyramid holds them in place.
And do you make those for people like custom orders?
Pyramids, yeah,
Can people, yeah, do people order them from you?
yes, yes, they
Oh,
do.
cool. I did not know that.
Um, yeah, we do mostly with if we do the copper work, all the pipe and stuff like that. We kind of do that local. We had one lady drive all the way from California to pick up her pyramid um, because it's actually we haven't actually even priced out the shipping cost. If you get like one of those, like if we had got a 10 foot long tube, that would be
Hmm.
extremely expensive to ship because tubes for
Right.
some reason are extremely expensive, and I don't know why, but they just are.
Hmm.
So we would need 10 foot plus tubes to ship the copper pyramid with.
Wow.
We do the Nubian pyramid too, which is
Hmm.
5 foot by 5 foot on its base and then 7 foot tall. So the energy difference between the two of those is the Nubian is more get the work done now and integrate later, where the Giza is
Right.
more do the work now a little bit slower and get the integration done at the same time.
That makes sense because it's more of like an acute triangle
Yeah,
or pyramid. So it's more focused and it's more meticulous. It feels like it would be more like a laser, in terms
Yep.
of sending that energy. Awesome. So you also sell the Nubian pyramid, which is it's not as wide. It's more like this, you guys, because it has a smaller 5 foot base. So it's very portable. If anyone is
Yeah.
interested in adding it to their healing tools collection.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah,
Yep.
I know. And I just love the
It's
crystals in the Merkaba because that just it looks beautiful and it feels amazing when you're under there.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. No, that's
very
and
cool.
we actually have we actually crystal gridded the actual pyramid itself. If you look at the pyramid right behind me, in the back
Hmm.
corner there, there's a giant quartz piece, and then there's a amethyst piece right next to it to the left.
I see it.
So we
Yeah.
actually and we have the amethyst cathedrals on the other three corners. So we actually have a bunch of crystals actually in the pyramid to shift the energy and focus the energy in.
Hmm. And but those
So
are
it's
outside of the pyramid, right?
nope,
The
they're
big
in. They're
they're
inside the grid.
in. Oh, interesting. It looks
Yep.
like they're out from here.
Yeah, no, they stick out of the actual, they'll stick out of the actual arc or the angle there, but they're still
Hmm.
inside the pyramid.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. So awesome. So what's next for Energies of Service? Like, are you
Um,
trying to reach people on a broader level, or are you gonna be targeting, specific groups or anything like that?
well, I'm going to be on Advancements TV, which is a TV show on Bloomberg TV. We're going to be having a segment on that on December 17th. So we're going to be hitting up and looking at more of the banking and financial, trying to get more of those people exposed to and understanding the energy tools. So that'll be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So we're doing that. And Vivian and I will be doing a retreat in Sedona in, I think it's January. And then from there, we're going to be doing a cruise in April, which is a really interesting cruise there. 7 days down the Mexican Riviera where Vivian is
Mm-hmm.
speaking, and we're going to have a vendor table on board, so I'll have all the tools there so people can experience that. We're going to have an
Yeah.
amazing night watches, and I just can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, and then there's are you doing the Ascension conference in Sedona in April as well?
I don't know. Viv, are we doing that one?
I know it
She'll
was
answer that one.
it was like penciled in. Very
Yes, we are.
cool.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay, very cool. Yeah, I might join you guys up there for that one. Okay, awesome. Well, this has been amazing learning about you. Oh, there was one question I wanted to ask you. And anyone in the audience, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat room. I would be happy to ask Peter your questions. But I was wondering if the technologies have ever been measured. Like, has there any technology out there that can measure your technology?
So what was measured and what was measurable on the tensor ring, Slim Sperling actually did the scientific studies on it was the royal cubit, and what was the other one? He did test them a couple of them, and he actually had the one that was actually found in the Giza pyramid. It's actually there was a 72-inch tall granite boss, and at the base it was 20.5 inches in diameter. So the tensor ring that Slim Sperling made was based off of that 20.5 inches.
Mhm.
The height of that particular boss was actually 3.5 times the size of that 20.5. So it was really interesting. So he did all that math and understanding. That particular qubit that he had tested actually resonated at 144 megahertz. It was actually a resonant frequency of hydrogen, and he actually had that one fully measured. It was two different labs. One of them was at Lockheed Martin, interesting enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Another one was a German study in, it was a university in Germany. Um, It did test it, and the other one was resonated at 177 megahertz, and I think that one is the lost qubit.
That one was the
So
what?
yeah, lost qubit. That one
Oh, the
is
lost unit.
yeah, lost qubit is um, heart based. It works on the heart, higher heart, emotional field, and your etheric body. The one that
Mm-hmm.
Slim first started working on works on the physical body. So that one actually will help heal. As Slim Sperling has a whole bunch of reports and people feeling back from that is actually healing of the physical body in miraculous
Okay.
time.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, like
amazing.
I can't confirm this, but he had somebody supposedly healing a broken bone in like 15 minutes.
What? Oh my goodness.
That that's in his book, and that's one of his reports. That's not my stuff. That's his stuff.
Right.
But that's the information that Slim Sperling got with his tools. So this is all
Mm-hmm.
based off of his technology because he open sourced his everything he did.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. And I think, one thing I would say is that like the human body is a great tool to test these
Yeah,
because we're electrical beings and we're energetic beings. And, if you're slightly sensitive, you can feel the difference when you're either standing in the copper ring or you're wearing a pendant or, you're under the
yeah.
pyramid. And certainly the anklets, I know those have been
Oh yeah,
reported to really uh, make a huge difference for people.
yeah, yeah. The tools.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I've created the new logo for the business, and it's energies of service, and the tagline is "You can feel it."
Hmm.
It really
Yeah.
is. You put the tools on, you can feel it, and
You can
it's
feel
the
it.
tools. The tools are experiential,
Hmm.
and they're when people look at them, it's like, oh, they're so pretty. It's like, yeah, that's the aesthetic side of things. That yes, they look really really nice, but the
Hmm.
energy that they produce is crazy. It's amazing what they can do.
Right. Right. Yeah. They're very powerful. And I mean, copper itself has a lot of power.
Yep.
And it's gotten more expensive, right? The cost of
Oh yeah.
copper has gone way up.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Way up.
and, some would argue to say that copper, in the end times, copper will be one of the most valuable metals on earth because it has so many uses, it's so durable, it's so flexible,
Yeah.
it does so many things. So it's almost in a way more valuable than gold when it comes to like practicality.
Yeah, it's
So,
abundance, and yeah, we live in a
mhm,
state that has a lot of copper mines, so we have a lot of copper in the area.
right.
Copper, as far as I understand it, copper is the only metal that has been associated with a chakra, and copper is a heart metal.
Really? Oh, wow. I did
Yeah,
not know that.
I
Thank
thought
you for
I thought
sharing
that was
that.
pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah, that is pretty cool because it's right here. It's right here by
yeah,
our heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why it's like when you put the pendants on, you have to wear it. You have to put it right here over your heart because
Mhm,
the torus field that the tensor rings create interacts with your heart's torus field, and that's
mhm,
where it kind of latches together, and all of a sudden you just feel it because it's
mhm,
working with your energy and actually amplifying and creating the changes in your field that way.
mhm. Do you ever get any clients who were, angel communicators who feel specifically drawn to your stuff and like, have reported that maybe it amplifies their communication or anything like that?
The tools will amplify or protect you in the ways that the tools are made to. But what is actually really interesting, on a side note to that, is that, like, again, they're intention tools. So you can tell it what you want it to do for you. So
Mhm,
if you want it to amplify your connection to your angelic higher self or your angelic, guide or whatever, yeah, just like, yeah, clear my channel,
right,
allow me to hear, and just let it go.
mhm,
You have to let, it's like one of those things. It's like, you have to, the intention you want to put out there, you have to put the intention out there and let it go. In other words, I want to change it. Nope, I want to change it. Nope. It's like it never comes through because you're always changing it. You have to set it and forget it.
right.
Let the
But
universe, let the universe figure it out.
you could do a different intention every day though, couldn't you? Like if,
Yep.
today I need more grounding, please help me ground.
Yep.
Tomorrow I need
Yep.
more claircognizance, please help me feel, or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yep. And you
Yeah.
can clear the pendants and everything just through the intentions too. Just Okay,
Mm-hmm.
clear the energies out. Clear all of the
Right.
energies gone.
Mm-hmm. Very
Yeah,
cool. I
so
put mine, I have a big selenite brick like this, and I just put it on my selenite every night before
yep.
I go to bed to clear it out. So that's
Okay.
awesome.
Let's see.
Well,
Just
that's
looking through
awesome. Is there
here.
anything else you'd like to share with people tonight that we
Let's
haven't
see.
covered?
Let's see if I can do a little bit glow here. See if it'll show up. There we go. The Michaels glow like crazy.
That's great. You should flip the camera and put it on the big screen so people can see
Oh,
that, because it is really
okay.
cool when you put the blue light on them or the black light.
All right. It gets really kind of glowy.
And what stone is that on the left that's glowing?
All of it's glowing.
Oh, the one on the
Because
left,
you
the
have the.
green one's really showing up,
Oh yeah.
and the one on
No,
the
the
right.
green glows. Yeah, green glows really good. The blue glows really good. The white in here glows, and then we have purple down here in the other stones.
Mm-hmm. Lapis.
Yep, and that's the Michael.
Mm-hmm.
The Metatron crystals are down here.
Very cool. That's a fun feature. In Arizona, you walk around with a black light flashlight anyways because you're looking for scorpions.
Yep. Yeah, we got them down here. So I got one right here. Yep. Right
there. Very
there. Yep.
cool.
Nice big black light. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining us. Linda says that is a beautiful piece. Very cool. She's a,
Oh, very
she's
cool.
a,
Thank you.
a good friend over in the next state over, Nevada. So yeah,
Oh, very cool.
awesome. And 509 Divine Pines, that name sounds really familiar to me for some reason. She says, "Can I have y'all on my podcast?" Yes,
Sure.
anytime. We'll put our contact information in the chat room. Peter is available at energiesofservice.com. So I'm sure they can
Yep.
reach out to you via email, right?
Yeah.
And are
Yeah.
you
There's
on
the email
any
contact in there.
social media outlets as well, Peter?
Yeah, I got the. Well, I have YouTube, but doesn't have a lot on there yet. We're working on that. We do have a Facebook, Instagram. So yeah, both of them are there.
Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Well, this has been amazing. I've loved learning more about you and your tools, and I'm sure everyone. I can feel the energy. Like I'm starting to get a little bit lightheaded. I don't know why, but Peter has that effect on people. So
Well,
yeah,
it's the energetic background. My angelic background. It happens that way.
right. Yes, I know. It's a powerful thing when you're part of the angelic realm. Absolutely. So thank you for coming on the show. And
Oh, you're welcome.
yeah, we'll have to have you on again the next time you have a new creation or tool. So everyone remember, if you enjoy Peter's tools, check out his website and all the various different types of healing tools you can get on there. And where will you
Absolutely.
be next in case people want to come see your stuff in person?
Let's see. I think we have the Sedona conference in January.
Do you remember
Vivian
the
has all
name of
that
it?
going. The Sedonia one. If you go on our website, it's right there. It pops up. It's a pop up that first comes on. Let's
Oh,
see.
okay. Awesome. So if you're in Arizona, guys, or if you're going to be in Arizona, maybe you can
Yep.
pop up to Sedona and check
Yep.
out Peter's stuff in person.
It's the higher self dimensional bridge of consciousness and personal retreat in Sedona, Arizona. It's the weekend of January 20th to the 22nd.
Okay, awesome. Are you guys leading that conference, or are you just attending?
No, that's our retreat.
Oh, it's your retreat. Okay.
Yeah, that's our retreat. We do other stuff. I'm just not sure what else we have going on. Let's see.
You guys always have something going on.
Well, we do.
Ting Ting Shiny says, I was drawn here today big time. Thank you, Peter. Gorgeous, stunning, and thank you for sharing. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming in the chat room. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have let's see, Ancient Cosm Wisdom Conference it's in January. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot for the rest of the year, but we do have a whole bunch of stuff going next year. We're going to be going to France, and I think it's in January or February, and then we're going to England twice. And of course, we have the cruise and stuff like. We have a bunch of stuff. We have a bunch of presentations to do next year. So,
wow, very cool. Busy, busy, busy. Well, enjoy the holidays while you can. Yeah. The quiet time.
Yeah, the quiet time, but before it really takes off. I know.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And again, I'm sorry that it took so long, but it's been awesome having you.
No worries.
And I'm happy to share your stuff always, because I know that the healing tools are amazing and they work. So
yes, they do.
You guys, please check out his stuff at energiesofservice.com. And thank you so much to all of our subscribers here on the Ascension sessions. Blah. I'm telling you, I'm feeling a little lightheaded. It's been wonderful seeing all of you in the chat room. I really appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us tonight. And please stay tuned for more shows coming up soon. And if you haven't already, please like this video and share it with your friends or anyone that you think would like this video. And definitely stay tuned and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter if you haven't already. And Peter, thank you so much, my friend. It was great to spend this time with you and to learn more about you.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. Good night, everyone. Good night, Linda. Good night, 509 Divine Pines, and everyone else in the chat room. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Yes.